Gaijin. What are you doing now? You were doing so well, and then now you come up with this. Just another band-aid to patch over it. Mixed realistic battles. Wow. Really digging out of something. But technically it's the player's fault, and this, in my opinion, it's because y'all keep complaining about Hokkaido. Oh, Hokkaido this, I hate Hokkaido, I hate fighting the Americans, I hate fighting Americans. Well, it's something, we're back to square one of how Gaijin works now, with their whole, let's place a band-aid over it. They've really gone from arcade and realistic to, from that aim helper to the differentiation between arcade and realistic in ground forces. The difference is that is because you have the point system in realistic, and then you have the whole new arcade mechanic, which is absolutely brilliant of what they've done there. That really differentiates arcade between arcade and realistic. However, with planes, it's not making much of a difference, so to say. So just moving on. So let's look at the previous changes. What Gaijin's done for previous changes on different things. Looking at mixed battles for ground forces. I think this was needed back when American tanks just came out, and they really needed to fix these queue times, which were going to be obviously long. So they put in this mixed battle, and this was great, and it lasted for about maybe a month. I think about a month now, and right now it's been going strong. Now it's back to America and Russia versus Germany, which is excellent, and which is working pretty well. And I think that's what they could do. This is what they could do and put into realistic battles. They could put, like they did in Simulator, the Japanese and the Germans together versus the Allies, and they did this in Sim, and in Sim it didn't quite work so much because it was such a large scale, and because it was, it was difficult for them to put that together, like what they say in the jet battles nowadays. It's difficult to spread Germany and Russia away in conflict. But I think it would be much better than this mixed battles if they could do that. But the Axis versus the Allies in the realistic setting. Well, for Sim it didn't work. Couldn't differentiate Japanese and German. And the Allies with the Allies as well, so it was difficult, and it still didn't shorten the queue times as much, but it shortened it quite a bit. But now they're with a two-nation concept, which is what I hope Gaijin doesn't go to from this mixed battles. And the other thing they added was the join in progress system. The join in progress system, while people don't like it now, that was one of their steps to try and shorten queue times. I mean, it has done. It sort of works in a way if you really want to shorten your queue time, but you get into these matches where it's already in progress, and either you don't like it, you don't want to have the enemy playing above you before you reach the battlefield, or in the tanks when your team or the enemy team has already captured the point and is winning. But that's your choice if you want to turn it off or not, if you want to queue longer. Adding this thing, if I had the ability to turn it off, I'd turn it off immediately. I'd rather take long queue times, put me with my 190 with a P51. And it just comes down to matchmaker. It's the matchmaker that really affects this, in my opinion. I mean, you can look at, we can complain about the join in progress system. Oh, it doesn't work. Well, that's a choice. You can turn it off. You can look at, the ground forces, arcade, realistic, and, Sim. Oh, I don't like arcade. Well, then play realistic. I don't like the points, and then play Sim. But Sim has these long queue times. It's like, yeah, it does. You're gonna have to sit through queue times either way. But and I don't mind it for ground forces, but for planes, don't touch this. Don't do anything. And even because they still have the mixed forces and realistic, I still find myself sitting in 15-minute queue times, and they don't, American with German with Russian against the same tanks, and they haven't. For what I've seen, I haven't played a lot of realistic. I have played a lot more Sim, but from my look at, it still hasn't changed the queue time. It's still, the queue times are still long. And so you can decide what you want. You can decide what you want. You can choose Hokkaido and alternate history, or you can choose P51 versus P51, Bear Cans versus Bear Cans, 109s versus 190s, Zeros versus K-ID4s, ME262s versus MiG-15s. Or you can go through the names of solutions I've named of. It's really up to you, but personally, for me, it's the matchmaker. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy. Try to keep it as non-biased as I could. But this is my opinion on why we should not have mixed realistic battles.